Hello and welcome, I'm Peasant, and today we're going to be taking a look at River Surges in Sunlight. So it's a Spirit Island 0 run, so it's going to be an overview of the Spirit and then a 0 difficulty playthrough. So it's not going to be super advanced, but it should hopefully be useful for newer players. So, River. What do we like with River? So River is probably the only Spirit that has a very, very strong built-in plan that you can just kind of follow, and you should do fairly well with it. And that plan revolves around its innate here, massive flooding. So you'll notice it has these different tiers. The middle one actually isn't important. It's this top one and this bottom one here that are important. So the first one is a slow phase push of an explorer or a town, which is very handy. It's just useful, but this is the real humdinger here. Instead, 2 damage to each invader. So it doesn't matter if you have 50 enemies in a land or 3, it's going to do 2 damage to every single one of them. And then in tandem with the flash floods here for an extra damage or 2 on the coast, you can basically clear infinite numbers of towns and a city or 2 cities. So this is pretty much what you're building towards. So that's the key to the Spirit. So you like to have access to the board with sacred sites, but this down here, this river's domain, will help you with that, because a single presence in a wetland counts as a sacred site. So a sacred site is where you've got 2 presence in a land, and that means that it's just going to be easier for you to get those sacred sites. So that's the game plan. Something else to think about with that game plan is that to trigger this, these elements here actually match up exactly. So the 3 sun, 4 water, and a singular mountain is what you need. So your start cards with River are usually useful in that regard, compared to with some other spirits. So the idea is you want to get to 4 plays, play all these, and then just laugh wetly like a river would. So what are the implications of that game plan? And I'll talk about the cards in a bit more detail in a second. So you want to be going down this plays track, getting to 4 plays, and then using this over and over again. So let's look at our growth options. So to keep on going down here, we've got this lovely double presence placement, and generally with the spirits that do have the ability to place multiple presents in a turn, that's what you're going to want. Typically their tracks are actually a bit balanced around this fact. So if you're not double placing presents, you're going to be maybe not as powerful as you kind of should be for that spirit. So definitely this is the priority if you can bear it, and because it's one range, you can kind of use it to cover a fair amount of ground. You've also got this here. This is also pretty nice, because you are going to need to gain some power cards. You're just gonna you're gonna need to. And then finally you've got a reclaim, which is a reclaim. So we've got this, if you look at this track down here, you've got a reclaim 1. So you don't need to reclaim as often with this spirit as you might with others. And also bear in mind that if you have a completely empty hand, you've always got 1 card with the reclaim 1. So that's something to bear in mind. Right, and then let's have a quick look at the cards we have. So we've basically got the flash floods, which is useful for preventing a whole build chain. It's expensive though, so you want to only use it if you're feeling flush. You've then got 2 cards that are actually functionally very similar, so especially if you're soloing, that gain energy. So this one will gain you an energy and add a Dahan. The key thing to note with this card is its range of 0. So if you are wanting to add Dahan in a particular space or gather into a particular space, you want to consider that when you're placing your presence. This is very much a card that you want to play over and over again with this spirit. Dahan are very useful to have around, and this extra energy is great. So this is very often the thing you're going to want to reclaim. We'll just have a quick look at Boon as well. So this one for yourself gets you an energy. But this is where in multi-spirit this becomes amazing. So if you target another spirit, they gain 1 energy per power card they played this turn. So a very good beginner combo of spirits is something like River and Lightning. And Lightning often has a very large amount of plays. And with Boon of Vigor, you can just be... but Lightning often has a problem with lack of energy. With Boon of Vigor, you can really help with that. But in the solo playthrough we're going to do after this little overview, this is going to be very much the card we're least interested in. But look at that lovely art. Okay, so we've got those 2 that are pretty similar. We've got the Flash Floods, which is useful, especially as part of this combo, because this extra damage is how you can kill a city or 2. And then Wash Away, which is actually super powerful, pushing up to 3 towns and Explorer. And you can just use this for all kinds of utility. And a good rule of thumb, actually, that came up on a comment for another video, is that actually pushing, if you push towards one, in this case, the one land where you can take care of everyone, take care, then that's useful. And also pushing towards the coast is a good principle, because if there aren't any buildings in land, you have less explorers to deal with. So there's that. So that's a little overview of the spirit. And you've got these the tracks. We like the bottom track. Yeah, I think we're good. I think we're good to start. So here we are. We're starting right here in the corner. I think is this the sea map? And we have a jungle builds. So we almost certainly want to go with placing as much presence as possible. And I think that's especially with river. And so remember, we're going to get a sacred site if we place our presence in here. So we've got two ways of getting here. We could go through this desert or through this this mountain. The presence that's in the mountain is slightly more risk. So I'm going to go through the desert. And there's not a huge amount of advantage to having in the desert as opposed to the mountain. And so the presence placement, the aim of my presence placement, especially with river, is to try and have it so that the whole island is adjacent, in or adjacent to a sacred site. So these singular presence here are sacred sites because of river's domain ability. So that's my kind of aim there, and I've put it in here to avoid just tangling with this town. Okay, so turn one, we have a decision we like. We've got these two builds in here and here. And I'm going to make a strategic decision right now. Right now, so watch out. I'm thinking what I'm going to do is I'm going to use Wash Away to push an explorer and a town into this land here. And I'm going to use my innate here to push a town from the other one into here. And what that's going to do is mean that we're not so worried about the ravage. River's Bounty is going to help us gain a bit of energy. And we can also use it to kind of position our Dahan in places we like. So this is if you're thinking about using River's Bounty in a particular place, that is something to consider with your presence placement. So this looks reasonable. Okay, so we're not doing anything in the fast phase. And there's the jungle build here and here. And mountain explore. Okay. So at this point, we do have we do have some options. What we can think about doing is actually preventing a city build. So we can be, now that we've seen this mountain here, we can be like, well, actually, maybe I want to wash away this town and this explorer and prevent the city that's going to be built here this turn, at the cost of letting one of these lands blight. That's something you can think about. But I am actually going to take it a different way. I want to push all these fine visitors. I want to push them all into this land. And I think what I'm going to do is make this land here a similar kind of fun zone for all these tourists in here. So, and the nice thing about this land here is it's adjacent to all of these lands. So if I can cluster all my adversaries into here, all the invaders. I think that's okay. So notice here I've left a single explorer here. The nice thing about that is in the ravage, in this jungle ravage here, it will do a single damage to the land and the Dahan, which isn't enough to place a blight, and then the Dahan will survive and fight back and clear that space. So that's a nice way of doing things. So the main thing I need to avoid is that when I use River's Bounty here, I need to make sure that I don't drag this Dahan out from that area. So I think I'm going to just gather the one. So you need at least 2 to get the multiplication, but the main reason you're really playing River's Bounty is for the extra energy, because you are very tight on energy at the start. So you see here we're going to have 2 energy this turn. But I think this is just a very strong way to open with River, is that if we play another double presence placement here, get to this reclaim 1, we can then get our River's Bounty back, which I think is what we want to do. I think that's the play there. So what have we got? We've got the ravages are fine. We've got a build here, which we might just be accepting for now. We might just be like, hey, this is going to be a city, and then it's going to be a problem. The nice thing is we can actually be looking at this explore deck, and we know that the first step is basically one of each land type of the fort. So we know that this here is either a sand or a wetland. So we might get lucky. We're not going to have to necessarily worry about sand and mountain being a problem straight away. Well, we might be. That was some vague peasant logic. So we're going to keep going down this bottom track. And remember I was saying about how we like to have sacred sites adjacent to everything? I'm actually now going to use my 2 presence placements to make a sacred site in here. Or something I could think about doing is dragging a load of Dahan into here. But I don't think that's going to work. What I was thinking about is that if I can use River's Bounty, drag some Dahan into here, breed them loads, then they could fight back on the Ravage. But we're a bit behind on that. Because when the city's built here, there'll be a city at Town Explorer, which is 6 damage, which will kill the 3 Dahan. So it's not going to be enough. That said, could flash floods, but I don't think it's a good use of time. This is more useful. So we're going to go with Bounty here. I've just realised as well, we're going to get... See, I always forget about tier 2 of this innate. We are going to be able to do some damage here. We can... In fact, we can even destroy the... No, we can't destroy the city. The city's going to be built before the slow phase. Sorry, after the fast phase. So I'm not going to be able to flash floods the city. It's very, very sad. My hard disk filled up, so I had to delete some stuff. Hopefully it wasn't too important. Okay, so we've made this choice. We're going to go with it. Right, so Boon of Vigor, we just play on ourselves. No decisions to be made there. Flash Floods, we can prevent this build by destroying this Explorer on the coast, which is okay. So we'll do that. And then we have this Jungle Ravage. You see there, the Dahan took care of it. We have a mountain build and a sand Explorer. Okay. Okay, so we've got the massive flooding here. What we can do is we haven't. This is mildly unfortunate because we've got both of our designated lands of fun are going to be problems this turn. Well, problems soon. So we're going to have a Ravage here, then a build Ravage here. So I think if we can do something to make this slightly less worrisome, then that's probably good. So I'm going to destroy a town, and I'm just going to push this. No, I'm just going to leave that one there. So this is going to mean that if I gain a defend card, it's got a higher likelihood of being able to deal with this because it's only 4 damage rather than 6. Though actually, I am going to push this Explorer out as well, because there actually are a few defend cards that defend for 2. And the decision where to push here, I've just pushed into the land that already has a problem. And I think I am going to go with some... making a one of these, this kind of slightly ugly ugly land, and hopefully we'll get to Blight the Island, which is what you need in a 0 difficulty run. Show your prowess. Okay, so this turn we have a Ravage in here. We don't have any cards that could deal with that. We have no defend cards as River to start with. We also have a build here and here. So we have ways of gaining a card, but we don't want to get too distracted from our main plots, and you don't want to worry too much about the island blighting unless you're into scoring the game, which I'm not. So the problem with reclaiming now is that I'll only have 3 actions, and that means I won't be able to use the top 2 of my innate. So I do like to push. If I can. Nice thing we can do here actually is that if we reclaim Wash Away, we can actually push the 2 Explorers and the town that's built. And that's the advantage of the slow phase powers. You can plan around, to go things to go after the invader. So this land then wouldn't be a problem. So that feels like a reasonable thing to do. Yeah. So I think I'm going to go with this option here. So why am I going for that option? I mean, it could be good just to power down these tracks, but I think I really want to just have an extra card. I think that would be useful for me. So we're going to go with the fourth action here. Obviously the energy would be nice, but this is so that when we do reclaim, if we reclaim next turn, we've got the possibility of playing our innate. So we might not have enough energy, because of course to play all of our start cards, we need 3 energy. We might not have 3 energy. Okay, so we've got plenty of presence on the map. I'm actually going to place this in here because there are some defend cards that are at 0 range. So this is, I might just lose this presence this turn, and I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. All right, so I haven't drawn a useful defend card. So this was probably a poor risk, but we have drawn other useful stuff. So we like, what elements do we like? So when you're, especially with this, with a lot of spirits, you want to be gaining cards that help with your innate. So we particularly like water, we really like sunshine, and we like mountains a little bit. So of these, only 2 of them are offering us the water that we crave. And these are both pretty useful. Call of the Dahan Ways is great, especially if you can be replacing a town. But we don't have any other moons, so it's not a high priority pick. And our Dahan are kind of they're kind of mostly in 2 spaces. So the thing I always forget with this, well not always, but often forget, is you actually need a Dahan in there too to tempt them over to those Dahan Ways. So you've got to, so it's very strong but also quite limited. So I think of the ones that have a useful element, this is the one that's better for us. It does 2 damage or removes blight. Removing blight is super useful. In fact, if we remove this blight here this turn, then we can keep the island healthy, even if this land blights and this land blights, which is probably what's going to happen. So let's have a quick look and see if there's any great utility on these. Not really. So the elements are important, and there's nothing that they're going to do for us immediately that's great. This is a nice, I like cards like this because I like playing fear cards, and it is cheap, but the elements are completely irrelevant. And it's doing stuff we're already pretty good at, which is pushing. So it will be a voracious growth, and then we're going to reclaim something. So if we reclaim one that has yellow and blue on it, then we get to use our innate as well. That's worthwhile. And if we can save energy, that's also pretty good. So the wash away though was nice because it just means this isn't a problem anymore. Whereas if we go with River's Bounty, then we can think about doing something about this explore card here, reacting to that in a way that's effective. We can even use Voracious Growth to clear this space if we push the town with our innate and then destroy these two explorers here. And we need lots of energy going into the future, and this land is going to take care of itself. So I think I am going to go with River's Bounty here, and this is so that I can get this little push here. Okay, so nothing in the fast phase, and we've got this Ravage here, so I'm going to lose a presence. Not a biggie. Lots of building going on, and then Explore is in the jungle. That's okay. So we're quite happy when they're exploring in lands where we can easily remove Blight, because that gives us the option of going with a Blight removal rather than defend strategy. Okay, so River's Bounty. I mean, we can even drag some Dahan into here. So there's going to be a Ravage here this time. I do want to keep the island healthy though. So I think removing this Blight's good. Though we could just destroy this town. But nah, this is fine. It's going to be a bit messy, but it's okay. It's fine. And then we can massive flooding to push this. We can actually push them into here. because the extra damage won't kill an extra Dahan. Not that it matters too much. And then we will multiply our Dahan, let's say, in here. Okay, so that was the end of that phase. So now we're back to the growth phase. And we have 2 Ravages. So the island is going to blight this turn. Masterful play. Highly masterful. These river runs are slightly cursed. This is actually my third attempt. I did record one earlier today with the microphone, but I have no reason why it was balked. I sound like a robot. Okay. So we have a build in here, but I think we just keep on with our game plan. We just plow on. So we could reclaim here and destroy all the buildings in this land, which is all right. And then these guys will all get destroyed, but more blight will go down. Then there'll be a town built here. I think we just do that. I think we just bludgeon through. It's just something, you know, this is something you can do. Just be brave, hold your breath, bludgeon through. All right, now let's look at these. Let's look at these cards here. So what have we got here? So icon-wise, encompassing ward is perfect. It has all 3 of the icons we like. And defense 2 in all my lands. That's pretty appetizing. We have Reign of Blood, which is one of my favorites. For some fear, but we don't really care too much about fear. But it does have the water on. Lovely art as well. Quicken the Earth Struggles it's kind of off-brand. So it's less so by off-brand I mean it doesn't have the elements we like particularly. But this is obviously 10 defense, pretty nice. If we had a Sacred Site in here, it would be good. And then Elemental Boon, of course, is whatever elements you want it to be. It's a super powerful card, especially with multiple spirits in the game. But for us, Encompassing Ward is just going to be better because this will actually do something for us. And we're unlikely to go into majors. This is obviously, well, not so obviously, but this is good with major powers because often, well, all major powers have thresholds on. And you can use this to help you get the specific and weird thresholds. So I'm going to go with Ward here. But it's not going to be enough to defend in here, especially now I've had all these explorers. Good work, peasant. All right, so we are going to execute our plan here, though, of destroying everyone in this land. So, you know, there is some upside. I mean, yeah, there's not even any point in using Encompassing Ward this turn. We may as well save it for next turn to hope. Can we use RN8 twice in a row? Probably not, but it would be nice in here to defend 2, which will be enough to deal with the Ravage here. So an Explorer and a Town, defend 2 kind of means that only 1 damage gets through, and then this land's fine. So we won't use this turn. We'll just default to our start hand, which is the lovely thing about the spirits. The start hand does get the tier 3 of the innate, and they're all useful cards. You know, you're not playing any real duffers in there to make that happen. Okay, so into the fast phase, so we'll boon it bigger. So this is the all-important bit, and this is the tricky bit, in that because it's split over the fast and the slow phase, you can this sometimes doesn't work out exactly how you want it to. Okay, so the island's blighted. Difficulty 0. I do like a blighted island, though, I have to say. Okay, and we have the coastal explore. Okay, so we do have our innate ready to go in here. We've also got Wash Away and River's Bounty. So, in fact, what we could do is we could wash these 2 into here and destroy them as well, which is pretty good. Yeah, I like this. I like this a lot. And yeah, I think that's the play. So we're going to take these, push them in here. So they're nicely in this land, and then we're just going to, yeah. So long, fellas. So that was pretty nice. And then we've got our bounty decision. God, this is a messy island. So messy. All right, so we just want to play it somewhere, anywhere. Yeah, let's centralize some to harm. Okay. Alright, so we're back to the growth phase now. And we've got... The Ravagers are fine. There are builds here. We have no real use for this, except what we could do is we could just go with placing lots of presence and powering up, or we could just go for the throat. And maybe, can we be thinking about victory here? Is that on the cards? In fact, we can, if we get lucky with our power card gain, we could even do tier 3 of our innate this turn. So what I'm blathering about here is that if I can gain a card that has the elements we need, we might be able to do tier 3 of our innate. But that's completely unnecessary because there are only there aren't many buildings on the board. So maybe, what do we do here? What do we do? If we destroy this city in the fast phase, we have just one. I mean, we could just go for a major here just to speed this up. And so what I'm talking about there is that because of the way that the victory condition comes, once we earn this fear card, we'll then need to just have destroyed all the buildings in the game rather than everything. And if we destroy the city, that's going to gain us 2 fear. Oh, we'll need 1 more fear. Okay, I think I'm going to go with gaining a power card. And I could go with a minor here. I mean, I could go with a major, but I'm going to go with a minor. That sounded terrible. A minor power. Okay, so we have, again, we're thinking about the elements we like. Gift of Power is lovely for us. It has water. It has the mountain that we like. So that's it's also just good for us. We're a spirit with a lot of plays, and we like minor powers. So Gift of Constancy is it's a cracker. One of my favourites. Doesn't have the blue that we like. So that might mean if we go with Constancy, we try and pick go for the 5th play. But it does gain us energy. It means we can reclaim a power. So this is also pretty nice for us. And if we go for this... Yeah, the trouble with going for this turn is that it means we are definitely unable to do tier 3 of our innate. In fact, because we've not drawn a card with sunshine and water, we're not going to be able to get tier 3 of our innate this turn, which is obviously very sad. We could use entrancing apparitions here. Wait a second. So this does have the water we like. This is a better card. Gift of Power is better for us long term. But what this can do for us is we can actually use it to gather. This is a really very, very powerful card if you've cleared a lot of the board. If there are no invaders, gather up to 2 explorers. So we can actually use that and target it, say, here, and gather... Actually, no, it's not that useful. We could gather 2 explorers into here, preventing these builds. But of course, it's a coastal build, so they will still build in there. Never mind. Never mind. Still reasonable. But not as good. It can be very powerful. I'm going to go with Gift of Power then. And maybe... Yeah, we might not even worry about triggering our innate particularly. We could use some voracious growth as well. Yeah, I think we're just fine here. Let's gain the 5th play. See, the 5th play is not going to do anything for us, but we probably will reclaim next turn. Depends if we want to reclaim next turn, I suppose. Yeah, we do. We want to deal with this city and win. That would be nice. So let's go with getting this. This presence, and we do have encompassing ward, so I'm going to place it in with one of these reprobates. So maybe, yeah, we'll defend in here because, I mean, I'm planning for an endgame that hopefully isn't going to take place. We could even flash floods. Oh, I've just realised I could use flash floods and voracious growth to kill this city. Yeah, that's reasonable. It's quite expensive though. That's the problem. And that means we won't have the energy to do tier 3 of RNA next time, but we won't need it. So I think this is okay. It's acceptable. We've got 2 damage for RNA as well. Oh, great. So we might be able to finish this off. Let's see. Let's see. We can massive flooding with growth to kill this city. We can flash floods to destroy an explorer. No, we can't finish this off straight away. But we're close. We're getting very close. So I think I'm going to use this massive flooding and the voracious growth to kill this city. And we'll flash floods to get rid of them. Okay, and then we've got to lose something. So when you are making a decision of what to lose, especially with this one of a power or a presence, almost always you want to lose a presence. So that's what I'm going to go with. And I'm going to lose this presence over here, I think. Because this... this presence isn't really doing a lot for me. You very rarely want to forget a power. I mean, yeah, very rarely. Okay, so our fear card did nothing for us. And then, okay, so that might be helpful. Okay, so we have jungle ravages, we have coastal build, this one here, and mountain. Okay, that's worked out pretty well for us. Okay, so let's clear this land here, and then next turn in the fast phase we can destroy this town, and that should be the win. So, oh, this only targets jungle and wetlands. Never mind. Never mind, peasant. You are terrible. Truly terrible. I think my river zero nodes are slightly cursed. I mean, they're not, 100% cursed, but they are slightly cursed. Okay, so we could use drought to finally destroy the city. Just throw blight everywhere. Why not? So nothing has the icons we like. Well, I mean, these have sunshine icons, which are acceptable, but we don't have the water element that we like. This is Nature's Resilience is really good, but we're on top of things mostly. I'm just going to take the drought, just for its the raw damage, and this actually just just forgetting how the game works. I don't need to actually target things. So let's just try and save some face by oh, wait a second, peasant. What are you like? So we can at least use the voracious growth. We push these fellas into here. Okay. All right. Okay. Yeah. Purely 100% planned. So we have no ravages to worry about, and we have a build here. So there is going to be a town built in here. So I think I'm just going to go with a gratuitous finish to finish my slightly cursed river zero runs. We do have, and the curse I'm talking about is using drought. We do have a power to gain. Don't think I'm going to spend too much time on this decision. So we'll go with the one that has... So again, you're always thinking mainly about the elements. Just put it behind my head. We're thinking about the elements. So we like water. We like this. Song of Sanctity is a terrible card, though. Awful card. It's my least favourite blight removal, because you can't rely on it to remove blight, because it's a slow power. I love the art, though. It's a slow power, and if an explorer goes in there, then you don't remove blight. And yeah, it's that for me, that's just not on. Sorry, but I'll take it now because it doesn't matter. So I'm going to finish the game out, but with drought here. So if I trigger the threshold in here, I'll destroy a city, and it destroys towns, and
but we're gonna use it in here. The Ravage doesn't matter, we are gonna make the island. We're gonna be placing a fair amount of blight on the island, but it's okay. So we've got this threshold here, and we're gonna win by removing the last 2 buildings, because there will be a town in here as well. Yeah, so, and then just some gratuitous tier 3 innating that we don't need. So do this and this. Okay, and then I've got to forget something. So we'll destroy a presence, destroy that. Then we have a Ravage in the coast, which is fine. Build in the mountains, which is fine. And a Wetland Explore, which is also fine. And this drought should do it. So this is a very, very ugly game of Spirit Island. But they can't all be beautiful. So yeah, we've now got the Terror level 2, and that is the win. So yeah, that was messy. Okay. So yeah, thanks so much for joining me on my quest to make a non-cursed River Zero run. I hope this was helpful or something or other. I've been Peasant. I've got loads of other Spirit Island stuff, so yeah, feel free to check it out. And like, subscribes, and feedback are very much appreciated. I'm trying to make these better over time. So yeah, thanks so much, and I'll catch you next time.